Today, it's time for a new Cubase Q&A video. Hey, what's going on, my friend? Chris here from MIXDOWN Online. Now, if you're new here on the channel, subscribe to the channel, click notification bell so you don't miss anything. And for all of you, share and like if you think that the video is helpful. Okay, now let's jump on question number 1. Hi, Chris. Can you easily add bars between, for example, a verse and a chorus? The project is almost complete, but I want to record a small pre-chorus. If I mark all tracks and move them at the same time, some parts will fall out of sync. Okay, let's jump in Cubase and check this out. Okay, I have a full mix session open. So let's say I'm not ready to mix yet, and I'm still in my production and recording stage, and I want to add, a pre-chorus, or I just want to double up the verse section of the song, and I'm pretty much advanced into the production. So what I'm going to do in this case is by simply, and this is something that I do on all sessions, I always have, like most of the time, I'm going to have some folders for instrument types. So I have one folder for the drums, which is this one right here. So if I collapse it, it's going to reduce, the amount of tracks in my session. And all the drum tracks are going to be within that folder. Same for all bass channels, same for guitars, keys, and vocals. And there you go. Now I have like a stripped down version of my session, visually speaking. Then I can create a new folder where I am going to insert all of those instrument folders in. Okay, so if I collapse this all folder, I almost have nothing going on. But this state is actually a perfect state to do some editing, like adding a verse to the song, or just, adding a bit more bars to write a new pre-chorus like you were asking. So let's try to do so. So I have my chorus right here. So I'm just going to make sure that this is actually the chorus. Okay, so that is the chorus. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure that the snap to grid is on by clicking on top right here, or by clicking on J on your computer keyboard. And then I'm going to make sure I select, in my case, it's bar 91. So let's cut this one out right here. Now I'm going to use that all channel, the folder channel, to edit the parts. Okay, so it's going to cut all of those tracks all together by only working on the channel, on the folder channel. So I'm going to cut that one out at this point, and then I can only select it. So let's say I just need 8 bars or so. What I'm going to do is just add that up. And there you go. And I can record whatever needs to be recorded on this section of the song. That's simple. So this is how you can do it. And then what you'll need to do is to go back into the folders and just fine-tune everything by editing all the tracks to make sure that everything is works well and blends well together. In another example, let's say I want to double up the verse, so let's go and do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to leave those this one on collapsed, but still going to work on the top folder. Okay, so as you can see, it's going to edit all the tracks and channels within that folder. So I'm going to cut that one out right here at the beginning of the verse until I get to the end of the verse, that is at bar 91. And this is only an example, okay? So then what I'm going to do here is to select those, bring that right here, and then copy that one over, and there you go. Now I have created myself a doubled verse. Okay, so this is basically what you need to do. From that point, of course, I'm going to need to go into those tracks and make sure that everything blends very well. But all the tracks are going to be in sync, and that's the beauty of working this way. So this is the way I'm going to work in a situation where, like you were saying, that my session is way advanced into the production, and I need to just add some bars to create a new part in the song, or just to double up a section or something like that. There's also the arranger track that you can create and move around, if you want to add a section, remove a section, double up a section of a song. But working with the arranger track is good when you start the recording process, or mainly the arrangement process. It's more of an arrangement tool than anything else. But when you're well advanced into your recording, the way I just showed you is probably the easiest way to go. Now let's jump on the next question. I received the vocal recordings in stereo and I want to know if there's a quick way to convert them in mono. Let's go back in Cubase and check this out. Now in my session I have a bunch of stereo files, and let's say I want to convert one in mono. In your example, you were talking about a vocal track that was recorded in stereo and you want to convert that one in mono. So I'm going to do the same thing here with a bass guitar loop that has been recorded in stereo. I'm going to right click on that event and go down to find selected in pool. That is going to open up the pool window, and you'll have your the actual stereo file that you selected highlighted in the pool. What you're going to do next is, again, right-click and go down to Convert Files. And this is where you're going to be able to convert the file with different parameters, like the sample rate, the bit depth, and so on. So I'm going to keep the same sample rate at 48 kilohertz. Same for the bit depth is going to be the same as the session. And now I have channels. And this is where I'm going to select mono instead of keep and instead of stereo interleave. So I'm going to select mono, and the file format is going to be at WAV file. So now I have three options here. One is new files. The other one is replace files, or new plus replace in pool. So what I'm going to do in my case here, I'm going to click on replace file, click on OK, and I'm going to get that warning message that you cannot undo this. I'm going to click on proceed. And if I go back into my session, this is what I'm going to get. Now my stereo file has been converted into mono. So this is a very fast way to convert your stereo files within your session in a mono audio file. The thing you need to pay attention to, though, is that the channel itself is going to stay stereo. Okay, so this is something very important, and if you want to change that, you just need to create a new channel, a new mono channel in this case, and just drag and drop that new mono file. But it doesn't matter if you keep it in a stereo channel. This is up to you. It's a personal choice at this point. But if you keep it in a stereo channel, it just means that all the insert plugins you're going to add are going to be in stereo, or are going to have to be in stereo if you have the choice between mono and stereo. One question regarding the listen mode. It seems that Cubase is able to route listen mode signal only through the control room, which makes it impossible to monitor the full path of the effects channel. Is there any workaround to solve this situation? Okay, let's go down here. I'm going to explain what he means about the listen mode. So I have my piano channel right here, and I have also an effects channel track. So I'm sending a signal from that channel, the piano channel, into the effects channel track, which has a stereo delay. Okay, so if I solo the piano, this is how it sounds like. Okay, now if I want to monitor the effects channel track only, what I need to do here is to click on the listen option right here. Okay, now I'm able to monitor only the effect of that channel, or the content of that channel only. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about with the listen mode, this is available only on the Cubase Pro version. You'll need to go and watch my control room video that I made maybe a month ago or something. I'm going to leave the link right on top. Check this video out. So basically, the situation is that when you use the listen mode, this is going to be monitored by the control room itself. But the control room is only going to monitor this channel only, and nothing that comes after. So if this channel is going in through several other channels, you're not going to hear where all the other channels that this one is going into. So in my case, I have the stereo output. Okay, my stereo out here has a lot of processing going on. So what's happening here is when I'm going to click on listen, I'm not going to monitor all the processing, the signal going into that main stereo out. If I want to do so, I'm going to need to click on solo instead. But solo is also going to solo the direct channel because both of those channels are going into the same place, which is the stereo out. Okay, so what you need to do if you want to monitor that effects channel only, and you want to keep all the effects and channels where that effects channel is routed to, what you need to do, you have to make sure that the direct signal channel is not going at the same place than the effects channel. All right, let me explain. If I solo this, let's listen to what that sounds like. So by soloing the effects channel track, I am also soloing the channel that is sending the signal into this effects channel track. And also the channel where the effects channel track is routed to, in my case, the master output. But when I click on listen, that will only monitor the channel itself without the signal coming in, so without the dry signal, and without the channel where that effects channel track is routed. Now, if I also want to monitor the rest of the signal path without the dry signal, this is what I have to do. Let's go on top and activate the direct routing. What I'm going to do here is only to deactivate the piano output, and that's it. Now the piano channel is still sending a signal to the effects channel track, but the output of that channel is going nowhere. It has been deactivated, so I'm not hearing the direct signal. I'm only hearing the effects channel track in solo. And that means that everything that follows that channel, I also can monitor. So let's just compare between both the listen and the solo mode in this case. So this is one of the ways you can do it. If, for example, your channel is routed somewhere else, let's say your effects channel is going into the stereo out channel, but this one, the piano channel, is going into a group channel. Let's create a group channel and call this one group piano. And this one will go to the stereo out. Now, if I solo the effects channel track of the piano, it's going to do the same. I'm not going to hear the direct signal because the piano channel, the direct signal, okay, is going into the piano group channel. And this one is going to be muted when I'm going to solo that effects piano, because when soloing an effects channel track, it's going to solo all the channels that are feeding this effects channel track. So that's why it's soloing this one. But the output of my piano channel is routed into that group piano that is not feeding the effects piano channel track, you know? So that's why I'm able to monitor the full path of the effects channel track. So I hope that helps. Let's jump on the next question. Thank you, Chris. I am new to Cubase. I notice when I add more bus inputs, it adds channels in the mix console with a red fader. Is there a way to hide the extra bus channel? Yes, of course, it is a very easy fix. Let's go back in Cubase and look at what I have here on my mix console. Yes, I have on the left side of the mix console, I have some stereo input buses. So if I click on F4 to the audio connection window and click on the inputs tab, this is where I create my input buses that will connect, that will link the audio interface with Cubase, basically. But every time you create a new bus, in this case, let's create a mono bus, call this one test. and click on Add Bus. It is going to add a channel on my mix console. And to hide those input channels, what you need to do is to click right here on the top, the Set Channel Type Filter icon. You click on that and you'll have all the channel types that you can show or hide from the mix console. In this case, just look for input channels, uncheck it, and there you go. They still exist, but they're not going to be shown in your mix console. And you can also do that to a bunch of other channel types like instrument channels, sampler channels, and even the output channels, you know, VCA faders, and so on. So this is how you can work that out and hide those input channels out of your mix console. Let's go on the next question. Is it possible to turn record and the direct monitor button off when I stop recording? I'm in Cubase Pro 10.5. Let's go on my session here and just going to click on that empty audio channel. Now, I'm going to make this channel record enable. Just going to bring my cursor right here. Now, if we go in Edit, under Edit and down to Preferences and go down to VST. Now we're going to find the auto monitoring option here. That will give us 4 different auto monitoring options that we can use. There's the manual one, which is basically you do everything manually. So when you're going to start recording, you decide if you want the direct monitoring off or on when you stop recording, when you play your song, or when you want to record the song. So you're the one in control. If you select the auto monitoring while record enable, that means that the direct monitoring is always going to be on, always going to be active when record enable is on. Okay, so if you record, it is going to be on. If you stop recording, it is still going to be on. If you just want to listen to the playback, it is going to stay on. Then we have the option of while record running. So that means that the direct monitoring is only going to be on when you are recording, okay? But it's going to be turned off once you're done recording, even if the session is in playback mode. And the last recording mode is tape machine. This one I use a lot, and this is very useful if you're doing a recording session where you use direct monitoring. But when you monitor, when you're playing back the session, this will bypass the direct monitoring option. So this is perfect if you want to do some punch-ins and punch-outs. So let's say I'm listening to the playback and I want to record that part. I'm going to click on record. Now direct monitoring is going to be turned on. And when I'm going to stop the recording, even if the song is still playing, the direct monitoring is going to be turned off. So in my case, I use a lot the tape machine or the manual mode. Okay, the other two I don't use them much. So what I did here on my side is I created myself a key command so I can have a quick access to all of those different recording styles. Okay, so what you need to do is to assign this. It's just to go down to Edit, go down to Key Commands, and look for VST Auto Monitoring. You click on that, and on my end, I just selected the Escape key on my keyboard as a shortcut, a key command to toggle between those 4 options. So it's a very easy access to go from one to the other. Now, as far as the recording enable goes, you're going to need to deactivate that manually. Okay, but by clicking on stop, that will not deactivate the record enable on that channel. That you're going to need to do it manually. So I hope that helps. Let's go and read the last question of today's video. I'm a Cubase user since version 5. I still cannot edit automation points by typing the value. That drives me insane. Can you do a video about this? Thank you. Let's check this out together. Okay, I'm going to add some volume automation on this channel. Okay, just briefly. There you go. Just a quick volume automation. Okay, so if you want to just change the value manually by typing the value up, you can do so. Just select the automation point you want to change the value and just click on top here. The value is going to be listed right here under value, and you can change that up, you know. Very, very simple. If you don't see that on the top of your project window, click on that small setting icon on the top right, the setup info line, and make sure that the value is checked on. And if you don't see that info line, just go on top right here on setup window layout, click on there and make sure the info line is checked on. And that will activate the info line on top, and you'll be able to change the value of those automation points. So you can do that on one automation point or several automation points at the same time by changing the value directly on the info line. There you go, my friend. I hope that was helpful. If so, share and like. And also, if you're new here on the channel, subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell. If you have any other questions or comments, leave everything down below. And until next time, take care and see you.